About the Anunnakis. I see what these people has to say here. From Anunnaki false god, it is from the planet Nibiru, who came for gold, created eyes from the and create what? Genome to work the mines, impose cigares, decide to let us drown, but then decide to breed us to work for them. So let's see here what it has to say. Nothing. Enkaya speaks. The foresee our enlightened ancestries. Yours, not mine. Yours. I have nothing to do. I don't want nothing to do with these people. Even if I had a portion of their DNA, I want to remove it. It gives bad luck in our life. It's a curse. It's a curse. Enkaya. So Nigerian volunteers worked a decade underground in the Africa Gold Mine Complex. They built thousands of miles of stone sonar channels for gold processing, while Enkaya experimented with Homo erectus genetics in his Zimbabwe lab. You see, Africa. It has nothing to do with the Occident. Enkaya experimented with Homo erectus genes in lab in Zimbabwe, and maybe the Asian that see nowadays comes from Africa, and some other mix up with other races from Europe, the light-skinned one nowadays, but before they were all from Africa, I believe. Anunnaki stone lanes for gold processing. Until about 300,000 BCE, Enkaya, chief scientist of the Nigerian Anunnaki gold mining expedition to Earth, went north to the Great Rift Valley, Southeast Africa, to study an intelligent fire using primate Homo erectus, reasoned, free animals from traps, and communicated telepathically rather than with language. Erectus reasoned, freed animals from traps, and communicate telepathically rather than with language. So they couldn't speak, they spoke telepathically. Enkaya thought Erectus either evolved on Earth from Nigerian genes. Nonsense. Might be. Anyway, they live with but it doesn't include the Occident. The Occident America is different. Enkaya thought Erectus either evolved on Earth from Nigerian genes delivered in Nibiru invaded the solar system, or Erectus evolved from Homo sapien colonies on Earth long before 450,000 years ago. This 450,000 years ago was the time when the Nigerian came in, the Anunnakis came in. Before that, there were others around here already. When the Nigerian arrived, Erectus and Nigerian genomes differed only a few hundred out of 3,000 genes. Erectus would evolve in a few million years into Homo sapiens. He built a lab in Zimbabwe to speed Erectus development. At the mines in South Africa, miners volunteers who had signed up to dig gold on Earth to send to and save Nibiru's air, but instead spent decades groveling in the dirt on the mines, gripped that bossy and Nugi worked them too hard. And Nugi hazarded the Enkaya in Zimbabwe, but Enkaya sided with the miners and slyly told them to shrink gold shipments, lure and lure to the mines and trap him. See, this ugly serpent was the one, he's the root of all evil here, and all the mess that we find ourselves here. He planned to get in Leo to accept a plan for Erixus. When the miners carried gold to Bethsaida, and Leo sent Ninusha to investigate miners. The miners were backbiting and lamenting. In the excavation they were grumbling. Unbearable is the toil. Calling Leo to the mines, Enkaya told Ninusha, let the commander see how the miners suffer. These miners were not humans, okay? They were other beings from other planets. And they were the one who also is mixed with these people there in that continent. When Leo and his vizier Nazca arrived, let us unnerve Leo. Mine working heroes shouted, of the heavy work let him relieve us. Let us proclaim war. With hostilities let us gain relief. To their tools they set fire. Fire to their axes they put. They held a Nagi hostage, and tools as torch surrounded the house in Leo occupied. And Leo beamed Anu to shuttle to earth and shoot the miners' leader and the instigator, implying in key. Of course, this is devilly lie. The miners wouldn't say who led or incited them, but Anu felt for them. Ninusha wanted the new miners from Nibiru. Enkaya said instead, let us create a Lulu, a primitive worker. The hardship to take over, let the toil of the Anunnaki carry on his back. The being that we need, it already exists. All that we have to do is put on the mark of our genius. Thereby a Lulu, a primitive worker, shall be created. Enkaya showed the erections to Enlil and Ninusha. Ningishisida, my son, they fashioned a Senshi. DNA structure has tested akin to ours. It is like two serpents is entwined. When with our life essence shall be combined, our mark upon them shall be. A primitive worker shall be created. Our commands will he understand. Our tools he will handle. The toil and the excavation he shall perform. To the Anunnaki and the Abuzu relief shall come. Abuzu means hell. Enkaya, Nexida, and Nima made slaves. And Leo objected, don't create slaves. Slavery has from Nibiru long been ended. Tools are slaves, not other beings. Ninusha told Enkaya, make machines, not slaves. But the miserable being, the serpent from hell, and his family decide to carry on. Excellence we create, saying Ki, shall help us, not slave be, your head, la monster. And Lio shouted, to create hybrid beings is in the rules of planet journey forbidden. The early experiment with genetic engineering created many failures, and some viable creatures Griffin, Cyclope, Mer people, which was the people from the sea, and the Minotaurus. Now, those who fight this serpent, you can see them around spreading racism, being very centric about their community, crying wolf, say that they are the portain, they've been enslaved, this and that, but they don't see the past in the 12th century, what they did to the white and the European people first, before the 15th century. Alright, that was 12th century before. This means 3 centuries before. 3 centuries before the now Moroccans invaded South America and Latin America in the name of the Lusitanians Portuguese, and the others invaded North America. Alright, not say invaded, they took over, but the people who were there already, they came from Genghis Khan people and Attila the Hun, who come from Asia. It has nothing to do with the natives or Amerindia. This is all a bluff, a big lie that's been told here, and I cannot stand it. So once the Africa, out of Africa bull crap. Okay, I'm in for all the truths now. So you see, there are serpents, their seedlings will always, because in key save I save their people, their own. He had his own agenda. He didn't care big crap about other people, the people of the other side of the world. He cared only for his experiments and his self-interest. In Kaya enigzida service the erections woman, but failed. Serviced, that means flack them, kind of rape. So erections woman, but failed to impregnate them. Of course, man, you are on the fourth dimension. On the fourth frequency. You are in the fourth frequency. They are on the third frequency. Impregnated them. So in Kaya and in Zida gathered their own seed, and in text tubes fertilized the erections over to create zygotes. Then they planted the zygotes in erections woman. The first babies born of the erections woman lack the vision, hand dexterity. That's why you see so many problem that we have now, because of this demon that cursed from hell raises factor, hand dexterity or internal functioning. To beat these defects, Minima created the next zygote in a vessel of copper. That's why some here say that copper is good to store water, blah blah blah. No, earthenware is the best. Earthenware to filter water has always been the best, and I grew up like this, drinking water from with mineral stones in a earthenware that my mother will gather in a very big earthenware jar with filter made of stones, pebbles, and African clay instead of a test tube. And of course she would boil the water first before she would pour inside this earthenware filter, and not copper. Who says copper? Because they have association with these beings. So you see, in Leo and his family say, don't create a slave towards them. It was the other snake, who said that. And still they say that he's the good one and then Leo's the bad one. That's why I found something fishy. I couldn't agree to that, to the accusation against in Leo. So then they planted the zygote, and then there is a mixture. Some would say that Jehovah is in Kaya. Some would say is in Leo. Some will say Yahweh is in Kaya. Some would say in Leo. And just say may as well be the same person, and if it isn't, then they aren't. They are different entities. But otherwise, they could be the same being, disassociate themselves and create different personality of themselves. So woman like vision. In Kaya and Shira service so the woman the first and now. So in African clay instead of a text tube. In African clay, this says copper is no good. It store water there. There's something, some kind of mineral that it could harm your kidney. But this zygote grew into a child who couldn't talk. Then in Kaya planted a copper clay vessel grown zygote and Nima's womb. What? expand the copper clay vessel grown zygote in Nima's womb, rather than erections or in an incubation box, to see if the baby Nima boy could speak. In the clay vessel, the other mixture they make the oval of an earthy female with an Anunnaki male essential sperm they put together. So they mix up an earthy female with an Anunnaki sperm. Then they put together. They fertilize the egg into the womb of Ninima by Inkaya when it's inserted. So they fertilize the egg into the womb. So they take the egg of a female, the Erectus from Africa. Then they place it into the womb of the ovaries of this being, this entity, and then the Enkaya fertilize it with his own sperm. There was a conception finally. Okay, but it didn't mean that there was at the time other people already living in Europe around there. Doesn't mean that. To a male child, Nima birth was given. That's called Adapa. Inkaya, the boy child held in his hands. The image of perfection was he. He slapped the newborn who is in the pot, like they do nowadays. The newborn uttered the proper sounds. He handed the newborn to Ninima. My hands had made it. Victoriously, she shouted. Now, I want to ask this. How would they want them to speak? When maybe they came here, they spoke already. They already have vocal cord to speak. So how could they wanted them to speak when they themselves didn't speak? They ought to think telepathically wise. So you see, it doesn't make any sense. Adamu, one like South Africa's clay, a red shade. He had smooth and dark red, not black, not white. So Adamu, one like South Africa's clay, a red shade. Adamu, no, it was not Adamu. Adamu is the sister had Adamu. One like South Africa's clay, a red shade. So he was like, these beings there that you call these Asiatic people, a copper skin, like the people there, the shamanic people in the tribes, that one. He had smooth and dark red, not black, not white skin and black hair, but there's already the white is already existent that they try to do away with it. That's why they say that the albinos is a disease, but it isn't. They were one of the foremost primordial, and they try to do away and extinct them, demolish them. That's why they were hated, because they were one of the first here. Okay, then they bring in this other phenotype. So he had smooth and dark red, not black, not white skin, and black hair. Nibirians in contrast. Nibirians, see, the black hair is the Nibirians, the Anunnakis. In contrast, were white-skinned and blue-eyed. Nibirians, in contrast, were white-skinned and blue-eyed. Lie. How come if they had white skin and a blue-eyed, how come the baby come out this way? How to explain? If the sperm was the father's sperm, the Nibirian, the Anunnakis are never ever white with blue eyes, are big. That one's the Lyrens. They are mixing everything up here. They are lying big time. Is this blue-eyed man? Is this a white man? Certainly not, isn't it? Huh? Is it a white man? You crazy, you who wanted that rubbish thing. More or less I know who you are, And again they say it was here. They are saying that it wasn't And Leo, who made the 10 Commandments, was in Kaya. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. You see? Egocentrism. All centrism. Does remind you of some group here who have a centrism nowadays, go about spreading, animosity towards other races? Yeah, you should know who they are. They want to be the victim. Only they are the victim. You shall not worship any graven image. You shall not take God's name in vain. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Honor thy father and thy mother. You shall not kill. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. You shall not covet. See, he's the ram. These people are white people. I have seen this is being since I was 12 years old in 1975. I have seen them. They look like that, same skin color, same phenotype. They are not white, blue-eyed. That is another people. These another people who already came from Europe. They has nothing to do with the Africans phenotype or whatever they have created later on in modern times. That's rubbish. And here Yahweh and Leo and Lucifer and Kaya friended each other again. Anunnaki false gods. Here how they are depicted in Leo and Kaya. See? They are not even human, they are dragons. They are not even humans. To say that they are blue-eyed and white, that's rubbish. That one was taken from the earth, creation. Humans and plants and rocks and everything else. The best phenotype is this men like that. They look like Arabic people. So let's correct. He had smooth and their creation. They have smooth and dark red, not black, not white, skin and black hair. Nigerians, in contrast, were monster dragons, or had the Arabic phenotype or Moroccan. Full stop. Were white skinned and black your head. Adamu is malehood. All the ones its shape. By skin, once it is 4 parts surrounded. Unlike that of an unique malehood it was. All the ones its shape, Adamu's penis was very odd look. By a skin, once it is 4 parts surrounded. So the Anunnakis were circumcised, unlike that of Anunnaki malehood it was. Let the Esseline from as Anunnaki by his foreskin be distinguished. So once in key saying. So, and then how about the woman? How does this see? I think they have one peanut for groins, might be. Just like a old cat. Once she had Adamu, the prototype for the primitive worker, Ninma radioed the medical center at Shurubak. She needed 7 doctors who volunteered their wombs to grow offspring of Adamu. His essential alone as a mold shall be. So when Zenki say, Ninma and the humans swore they'd love and supported the babies they'd bear. Ninma and the humans swore they'd love the babies they'd bear. 7 vessels of the clay of Abzu, Africa, Abzu also is hell, and also the name of Africa in hell, made Nima ovals, zygotes, which Nixidus and Enkias sperm fertilized. Of the 2-legged females placed. The life essentials of Adamu, she extracted his sperm, she extracted bit by bit in the vessel sheet inserted. Then in the male part of Adamu in his penis, in a seizure she made a drop of blood to let out. Let this be a sign of life be, that flesh and soul have combined, let it forever proclaim. She squeezed the male part, his groin for blood, one drop in each vessel. To the admixture she added, in this clay admixture, ethylene with ANUNAKIS shall be bound. To a unity shall the two essences, one heaven, one of earth, together shall be brought in the wombs of the birth-giving heroines. The fertilized ovules were inserted. Ninima cut the moon's 7 healthy boys from their wombs. What? Ninima cut the moon's 7 healthy boys from their wombs. So, Adamu also have womb, is it? What a nonsense you are talking about. Tiamat, hybrid girl, blonde, white, blue-eyed, like Iberian lie, is once a demoness. Tiamat is totally a dragon. This is Tiamat, and this is no sci-fi rubbish. This is Tiamat, and she's not a human. And then this idiot comes and says a blonde woman. It's a lie. They take blonde people from slavery from Europe, sent to Africa for slavery a long time ago, maybe 5,000, 10,000 years ago. You know, when something happened 500 years in the make, was a big brouhaha until now. The cry wolf. Oh, poor thing, we are victim, but they don't see what they did back there, 10,000 years in the make. So this is Tiamat. She's not a human, neither is Nkaya or Enlil. They are Dracos. I need to shout the nonsense anymore. Tiamat, hybrid girl, blonde, white, and blue-eyed. Of course, you take from European genes. You took your serpents, you took your Dracos to create a female. Nikizita planted another zygote, prepared with Adamu's blood and Damkina, and when it grew to a viable female fetus, excised her. Ninma named the hybrid Shiama, mother lie. Shiama was from Orion, a dragon, reptoid dragoness from Orion. She was here already. You are lying, Erica. Mother of life, a sandy blonde. Blonde, blue-eyed Shiama, first Anunnaki erectus female, had MD DNA from 2 Iberian women. Lie. Damkina delivered, of course, taken from Europe. No shame. White skin, sandy-haired girl. No shame. Shiama best MDA from both Nima and Damkina. Ningizida put an over from Shiama into 7 test tubes. He planted them in the same doctor who born the hybrid males. All the surrogate mothers carried female hybrids, which he removed surgically. When he told the doctors he needed their wombs again, the doctor might have been the Grace. He then planted them in the same doctors who born the hybrid males. All the surrogate mothers carried female hybrids, which were the human from Europe, which he removed surgically. When he told the doctors he needed their wombs again. Ninma object, for my heroines too bothersome is bearing more ethylines. Too few are the heroines to bear numbers enough to work minds. So they take blondes to work women, blondes, and then they put the seed of the Anunnaki into them to create slaves to work in Africa. And Kaya brought, and then now what about this nonsense of slavery invested? What's this? Go and talk about your Anunnaki masters and their siblings here in human form. And Kaya brought Adamu and Shiama to Edin, but left the 7 female and the 8 male hybrids made from Adamu and Shiamat's gametes or gamutes together, in an enclosure at his African lab. You see? That's why they brought in slave, and this slave was taken many years ago, maybe 400,000 years ago, not even 10. I just had said earlier. And 10 years ago, they have again started the slavery, white slavery to Africa. They copulated the ovum, but the females didn't conceive. Good. Don't conceive. This is monsters babies. Nigerian astronauts who again worked the mines threatened mutiny if Enkaya and Nixiza didn't bring workers to relieve them. How long could they work? How long could they work? A human grow up maybe at 10 years old or 7 years. 7 years they have to wait for the children to be a slave, because at 7 years they already enslaved the children before, at the age of 7. Under pressure at the med center in Shurubak, Nixiza compared Nigerian genes and genes from Adamu and Shama. He found the genes for reproduction. Nigerian females had a recessive XY. They have a X and Y chromosome allele in their genotype, whereas Chiama would be the female human already here, had the only XX, that's the female human from Europe. To make the hybrid breedable, Nixiza anesthetized Enkaya, Nima, and Shama. From the rib of Enkaya, the life essence he extracted. Into the rib of Adamu, the life essence he inserted. From the rib of Ninma, the life essence he extracted. Into the rib of Shama, the life essence he inserted. He proudly declared, to the tree of life 2 branches have been added with procreation powers. Their life essences are now enshrined. Yeah, they took white girls, to breed, to be used as a breeder in Africa. Long time ago, but nobody said that because it has been deleted from the end of history. And all the modern nonsense that they brought to light. So Enkaya and Ninma and Nixiza, how they altered Shama. Shama here is a hybrid, I presume, from Europe, and also the demon is, I say, the god, the Draconis from Orion, who was here first. They killed her and extracted her genome. They killed Tiama, who was here before them. When the Nigerians came in, they asked the Marduk, or who was his son, who killed Shama. The so-called grandfather of Jesus killed Shama, who was a Draconis. She's a Draco reptoid from Orion. She dwelled in the sea. And now she mixed Tiama with the already found human from Europe, who contain the Earth XX genome. And the Orion Queen also have XX. You see? Now do you see the puzzle comes together and joining and making sense? She and Adamu stayed in Enkaya's Persian Gulf for child. Oh, how luxurious. While her fetus gestated, Shama made leafy aprons for herself and Adamu. Elias sent Adamu and Shama from Eden to Africa. Elias sent Adamu and Shama. Then at Enkaya's place in Iraq, Iridu Bazara, Ning Ishizida secretly made Adamu and Shama breedable. Adamu and Shama. So a hybrid from Africa if a European mix if Orion Queen breed. Very impressive, hey? So Enkaya, Ninima, and Ningshizida were not satisfied until they came up with a human couple who could be a match for their own minds and culture. Oh, they want a brownie, they don't want a white tea, so they changed the mind. Let's pick up one here from Africa and let's make the experiment here with these hybrids, who showed the same mental, emotional, and artistic potentials and abilities to learn and master scientific data and technology that they themselves had. They wanted the new humanity to know everything about their origin and how and by whom they had been perfected and how they had mixed the Anunnaki genes with the hominid genes and how much we resembled them in all matters except immortality. No. You also take the ability of psychic power and of creation to create from our own psychic. You took the original humans' disability, you devils. Ningzida anesthetized the Enkaya, Ninima, and Shiama from the stem cell producing ribi bone marrow. Ningzida is a male, okay, is Enkaya's son, I guess. Enkaya, the life essence she extracted. Into the rib of Adamu, the life essence she inserted. From the rib of Ninima, the life essence she stem cells from rib bone marrow. Stem cells extracted. Into the rib of Shiama, the life essence she inserted. Ninima stem cells sparked Shiama biologically to become conscious of herself before Adamu became self-aware. Ningzida proudly declared, to the tree of life 2 branches have been added. With procreation power, their life essences are now intertwined. Slaves to procreate and work later as a food farming to feed those monsters. Enkaya, Ninima, and Ningzida had Shiamak's newly installed breedability. Shiama and Adamu stayed in Enkaya's Persian Gulf orchard while her fetus gestated. Shiama and Adamu, there at Enkaya's settlement, developed self-reflexive capacities, now conscious of soul connection and their sexuality. Shiama and Adamu awakened to higher consciousness. They discovered bliss in their sexuality. Shiama built little tables of branches and adorned their loins to celebrate her sexual awareness, and a leaf apron she made of leaves. Oh, so Shishi is Shiama, Adapa and Shishi, Adamu and Eve. So Adapa and Chichi, Tiama are not Adamu and Eve are not, Adapa and Eve is not brothers, they are cousins. Not brother and sister, but they are cousins. So there were no such thing as incest. Don't give it no sense to justify going around and hump your mother, sister, aunties, whatever, and daughters. Or daughters, at least daughter is shameful. When Enlil visited Enkaya's nearby place, he noticed Shiama wore a long cloth of leaves, while Adamu or the party remained naked. Shiama, proud of herself, spoke up and showed the commander Enlil the apron she just made. Enlil made Enkaya explain. What's going on here? Enkaya confessed Tiamat's fetus wouldn't turn breed. The last bit of our life essential to these creatures you have given. To be like us in the procreation knowing. Perchance our millions of years, life cycles on them to be so bluff because before the human have up to 500 to 1000 years of lifespan. Nowadays, if you have 70, you are lucky. If you have 55, you are lucky to have this mass lifespan. Okay? So you are lying. You are lying. And Leo roared. I imagine how Leo was angry, was in fury, just like I get also. And Kaya's team had exceeded in Leo's okay to clone mine slaves and test tubes or surrogate Iberian mothers. And Leo arrested and tethered in Kaya. So Enki's team had exceeded, because in Leo say that supposed to have a limit. You know, you cannot abuse their experiment, but they went abroad. This man, this creature, and his family went abroad, went abroad. They went. He abused his power. He exceeded his limit. So in Leo, it's okay to clone mine slave and test tube surrogate Iberian mothers. And Leo arrested and tethered Enkaya. And Leo ordered Enkaya tethered for exceeding clones only mandate. Enkaya restrained, Tiamat aghast, and Leo enraged. Ninusha and Leo's backup. You see, they are not humans at all. They are not humans. They are some creatures. They are not humans. Their phenotype, their looks are not humans at all, you know. And Leo demanded in Anunaki assembly trial, and the 9 who judged sentenced Enki for insubordination. Bravo! He deserves it. Nixizida, however, mollified in Leo, and the commander released Enkaya. My lord in Leo, Nixizida said, his nephew, the deadly son of Enkaya, knowing for procreation they were given, the branch of long living to the Senshi tree was not. Longevity gene or genus known to Enkaya, and Nixizida was deliberately excluded. You see, longevity genus, that means they have a lifespan. You serve no more, you die. You are served only for labor and procreate. Once your time is over, you are gone diddly on. So longevity genes or genus known to Enkaya and Nixizida was plucked off. Like I said before, around 9% of our DNA capacity was switched off. Left only 2. It was very limited, which is very limited in fact. Was deliberately excluded from the human genome when the mixing of genes took place. See? See what this snake did? He and his family and his stupid sister. Then let the sister and a girlfriend at the same time. Then let them be where they are needed. And Liu Tienga said. Then let them be where they are needed. And Liu Tienga said to the Abzu away from the Edin. Let them be expelled. To the Abzu away from the Edin. Let them be expelled. Thrown away from Africa and from the netherworld. Because Africa also have a very huge portal to the Middle East, to the hell. Okay? To hell. And Leo exiled the Adamu and Tiamat from Iraq, despite the fact that they were in the land of Enkaya, near his seat of Eridu, or Basra. After Leo evicted Adamu and Tiamat from Edin, Enkaya knew the commander would limit them. And Leo called him Snake. Bravo! That's exactly how I call it. Slide his genetic program in without permission, abusing the power. Enkaya reacted slyly. Yeah, like his snake moving around. Just imagine him sliding around, slowly, slyly moving around like a snake. He is an anaconda. He is. he started the secret brotherhood of the snake. Okay, the secret brotherhood of the snake for few of select ethylene, a few of his hybrids, regardless of the skin color, okay, or phenotype. Brotherhood of the snake for a few of selected ethylene, but started in Africa, in the ancient Egypt, okay, whom he taught facts, technology, and advised thinkings. And Leo Yahweh sent Shammai and Adam from Iraq to Africa to breed many slaves. And Leo Yahweh sent Shammai and Adam from Iraq to Africa to breed many slaves. And Leo, furious, Adamu impregnated Shammai, sent them to Enkia's African places. The mind is like, go away if you are nonsense from here. That's why they say God sent them away. Do you remember in the Bible? Go to Africa, breed. Go hybrid. Go to Africa, breed there. And Lyle, commander of the gold mine expedition from the planet Nibiru to Earth, ordered Adamu and Shammai, the two smart hybrid chief scientists Enkaya, his son Nixizida, and chief medical officer Ninmah, that what they had created from the Namibian genome back to Enkaya's base in Zimbabwe. Enkaya put Adamu, and this Adamu was like this, they was dark, okay, they was dark skinned. Enkaya put Adamu and Shammai in an enclosure there where she bore children who in turn breed with each other and with Nigerians. Enkaya put Adamu and Shammai in an enclosure, oh my God, a cage there where they bore children who in turn breed with each other and with Nigerians. How cruel. Enkaya put Adamu and Shammai in an enclosure in Zimbabwe. They breed with each other and with these Anunnakis. In Iraq around 290,000 BCE, commander-in-Leo's sons and the Nigerians who served them, the Enlites, tended their own gardens and did their own home repairs, house cleaning and gardening. Then they learned that chief scientist Enkai and his staff in Africa, the Enkites, used hybrids they breed in Enkai Zimbabwe's compound, not only for mining, gold processing, transporting, but also for house cleaning and gardening, or slavery. And then you blame other people for it, huh? How convenient of you. You're supposed to have shame and some intelligence. The Enlites negated the commander to get slave from Enkaya. The Enlites negated the commander to get slave from Enkaya for their homes and gardens too. So the Leo also jumped the wagon to ask his brothers also for a slave to help them. Human slave. Not say human, but hybrids. Enkaya resisted Enlil's order for slave. He wouldn't send his hybrids to Iraq. Before the Enlites demanded for his slaves for Iraq, Enkaya had let the hybrids roam free in the widening sea. Sometimes Ningshizida went with them, but now with Enlil's sons agitated for slaves too, he built a wall around his workers' home to impede potential Enlilite raids. So the Enkaya wanted to protect his own slaves. He put a wall to block them, to block his brother's family from coming in and maybe steal his slaves. And Leo appeased his son's lust for his lives. True, he wanted to know himself. He and Ninusha built a powerful new weapon. He cut communication with Nibiru, so King Anu wouldn't stop him from a raid. Then he sent Ninusha with the weapon and 50 Anunnaki raiders to Enkaya place in Zimbabwe. With the weapon, the Enlilites blew down the protective fence around Enkaya's workers. Good, I like it. I really like it. I don't know why. I suddenly start to like it. I'm sick of me, myself. Me, only me. Though Elites brought the slaves back to Iraq. See, the Israelites brought the slaves back to Iraq to work naked in mansions, gardens, orchards, and seats. And Leo even let Ninusha breed the slaves for now. All Anunnaki would soon return to Nibiru and leave Earth and its slaves. And then he said, but they left representative. They sit here to manage all those slaves. Okay, and on the time of the Muhammad, Moses, Noah, and many others, there were already Jesus, there were already slaves. And who are you to? You have no shame. Your face already cynic to only pinpoint the 500 years ago slave trade to the Americas, when it's already a thing from Africa and from Middle East and even Asia and ancient China Emperor time. Do you dare? You won't fool the fools, and the devil's advocate, not me. The Israelites brought the slave back to Iraq to work naked. Oh gosh. Ninusha missile. In Key's place, Zimbabwe. Ninusha blew a hole in the wall. In Liu plant and Ninusha raided entire Zimbabwe hybrid breeding compound. Got a slave for Iraq. In a few thousand years, the Earthlings were proliferation. You mean the hybrids? Because the Earthlings were already around here already. But you mean the hybrids? Okay. To be with the Anunnaki, they were eager. So the Earthlings were proliferation. To be with the Anunnaki, they were eager. For food ration, they toiled well. Of heat and dust, they did not complain. Of back-breaking, they did not grumble. Of hardship of work, the Anunnaki were relieved. Why these people didn't put machines instead? Why organic things? Why it's so cruel? Put a machine or something and not organic people. That's why they are trying to put now machines rather than organic beings to be those new era slaves. In Iraq, the naked Earthlings worked, cavorted, copulated, and bred. They slaved and foraged. Their numbers grew till they ran out of food. And Leo, angry, and Kaya created the fertile Earthlings, told him to teach them to feed themselves. And Kaya gave the Earthlings seeds, plants, and tame beasts. And that's how we start to eat animals in agriculture. And then they bring the grains for us, which is very delicious, but at the same time it can cause a lot of inflammation in the body and immune disease, you see. Because humans are the foremost one, they live only, and I'm not talking this new hormones, this and that, some for the Anunnakis who created. I mean the other humans, they just absorb the energy from the sun. And they take some plants and then they take also the essence from the plant. That time were blue plant, blue vegetation, I mean. And they didn't need all this nonsense of eating meat to survive. And all those grains thing and kill the plants as well. The Earthlings worked in the African mines and submersible cargo boats that in just 10 days brought the gold from the mines to Bad, Tibira, and Suma to smelt, refined and formed into portable ingots for transshipments to Mars. The vital gold to Nibiru was coming steadily, Nibiru's atmosphere is slowly healing. Niberians shuttled to and from Earth. They left Nibiru 13 to 18 30 years before Nibiru got closest to Earth. When the rocket neared Earth, it went into orbit around the planet without landing and released a shuttlecraft to land at Sipar spaceport. Shuttles took gold ethylene mined to and from the base on Mars to return to Nibiru from Earth. Niberians and gold flew the shuttle to rejoin the mother rocket. The rocket had 1.5 Earth years to catch Nibiru. Niberians gave Earthlings food and shelter while they performed grueling tasks, the reason for which they did not understand. The stuff, gold they were digging up, had no value to them. They could not eat it or use it in any way. They could sell. The Niberian royals, their staffs and the astronaut corps needed a steady stream of fresh laborers for projects. In the South Africa, from Mozambique to Botswana, Zimbabwe and beyond, where the descendants of Adamu labored for the Niberians or the dark brown people, the extended ancient settlement covered an area much larger than modern Johannesburg, more than 500,000 square kilometers. The Niberians and their Adamite slaves built circles of stone. These circles were not dwellings, they lacked entrances. These stone circles capacitated sonar energy. Niberians and the adapted worker slave laid channels of stone that connected all the stone circles in South Africa. They set iron-rich, magnetically charged granite rocks on both sides of the channels among the stone circles. The linked continuous stone channels spread in a never-ending web of 500 million stones over 500-kilometer area. The channels climbed hills too steep for animals or carts. The channels gave the Niberians and their slaves the energy grid for the mining operations and life support. The Niberians directed electromagnetic energy from the earth along the stone channels. Sound waves capacitated the energy along the channels. So 300,000, 200,000 BCE, Adamu descendants dug gold in South Africa. They boated it to Iraq. Anunnaki in Iraq refined the gold. Agigi astronauts rocketed to Mars and transshipped it to Nibiru. Agigi are not humans. Gold dust lessened Nibiru's ozone hole. Agigis are aliens. Nibiru near and killed Mars base ruined the Earth's crops. Enkai and hybrid built energy grid over South Africa. The Mu hybrids worked the gold mines 100,000 years till crops failed. Niberians overseas directed goods and water along the channels of a levitation device that tapped into the magnetic content of the stones, the same way modern trains float above electromagnetic tracks. The levitation device helped them lift stone heavier than 10 tons. This is how the pyramids were created. They used a floating substance, the same monoatomic gold that they shipped it back to Nibiru to save its atmosphere. The stony channels connected the pits to leach gold, houses, terraces, workstations, and ceremonial centers. 3 of the South African cities that contain 1,086 million circular stone ruins stretched over 10,000 kilometers. Some of the ethylene miners in South Africa, after 1,000 years of toil to get what seemed an unimportant substance, gold, revolted. Others kept digging. Neighbors let many Ethelians leave the mining compounds. Some Ethelians created new communities and survived without Niberians' help. We Ethelians were civilized first, living in seat of mining center of the Nephilim, Niberian mining bosses, and worked for them. And then some of us were forced into an uncivilized, non-city center environment. Humans in the city centers were contemporaneous with humans in the wild. Slaves, the mining bosses cast off in Africa, developed their own so-called native indigenous traditions, but remembered and embellished stories of the Niberian gods, cities, mines, and miscegenation. One of the Nibiru approaches upset Earth's climate and ruined the new crops. Ethelians adapted and foraged afar but made less food. They took again to the bush and cave dwelling. Following generations showed less advanced standards of civilized life. This idea of advanced standards is, of course, the ethnocentric assumptions of the Anunnaki that forests and caves dwelling was inferior to the life in Anunnaki slave camps and servants' quarters, purely a value judgment that saw life for hybrids as better than life close to nature. Nature dwellers may have preferred freedom from slavery in Anunnaki settlements, correct? In any case, the dwindling Ethelian population reached almost complete absence of habitation. And Lyle prodded the Enkaya to make them smart enough to farm and herd better. Enkaya decided to raise Ethelian's intelligence, at the same time enjoy himself. It was Enkaya who gave the free will, which didn't work for a race or species that was not ready for free will, at which they abused